We have breaking news. There is a bombshell in the classified documents case to tell you about. That is thanks to a new court filing from special counsel Jack Smith. Prosecutors revealing for the very first time a potential turning point in their investigation. It led to last month's superseding indictment, telling Judge Cannon that last month an employee at Mar-a-Lago, he's known in the indictment as Trump Employee 4, retained a new lawyer, got new representation, and retracted false testimony from this filing. Quote, when Trump Employee 4 testified before the grand jury in the District of Columbia in March of 2023, he repeatedly denied or claimed not to recall any contacts or conversations about the security footage at Mar-a-Lago. On July 5th, 2023, Trump Employee 4 informed Chief Judge Boasberg that he no longer wished to be represented by Mr. Woodward and that going forward he wished to be represented by the first assistant federal defender. Wow. Immediately after receiving new counsel, Trump Employee 4 retracted his prior false testimony and provided information that implicated Walt Nauta, Mr. De Oliveira, and Trump in efforts to delete security camera footage as set forth in the superseding indictment. Wow. So, Andrew Weissmann, help us make sense of the timeline here. I mean, I was on the air with you when the superseding indictment came out, and I'm always gobsmacked at the crimes that Trump gets people to commit on his behalf. It appears that this employee at Mar-a-Lago has changed his testimony to tell the truth, and I wonder how that impacts his status as well as Trump's.
Sure. So this is how you get cooperating witnesses. This looks to me like you have the Mar-a-Lago IT guy went and either gave an interview or gave grand jury testimony that the government could prove was false. And it is also an indictment in a colloquial sense of the legal system when you have so-called House counsel. Cassidy Hutchinson gave everybody a crash course on what happens in this kind of political case. I saw it all the time in Enron. I saw it all the time in mob cases, having handled those at the beginning of my career, where House counsel is not looking out for the interests of the person who they represent. And so here, the person wisely got separate counsel. We saw the exact same thing with Cassidy Hutchinson, where she gave testimony about what her prior counsel, paid for by folks aligned with Donald Trump, had advised her to do, which was, according to her, obstruct justice. Here, with independent counsel, you have somebody who has flipped and is clearly an insider saying what it is that the three charged defendants, that is Mr. Trump, Mr. Nauta, and Mr. De Oliveira, did in connection with the obstruction scheme. It's not surprising that you would have more than those three people. In fact, I suspect there are quite a few more. And this is how you make a case. You do that, but it is really important that people have independent counsel.
And Andrew Weissmann, the fact that he is telling the truth with what sounds like a public defender, does that change how the government approaches Mr. Nauta, who I believe the government believed was lying to it from the beginning?
Well, Mr. Nauta was, by all accounts, was given the exact same choice. I mean, he is where he is because he decided not to cooperate. He made choices about his own conduct, and he is being charged for that. It remains, of course, the government's burden to prove that. But he chose a very different path, which is why he is a defendant in that case. The same thing is reported to be the case with Mr. De Oliveira. I can't imagine that Jack Smith wouldn't have been interested in their truthful testimony as witnesses and may have been even willing to immunize them or have a non-prosecution agreement. In other words, say, if you just tell us what happened and what you did, we won't charge you with it, but you have to be 100% candid. And this goes on all the time. I suspect what we know about this person in Mar-a-Lago, that there are other people in a similar situation that we will learn about as this case goes forward.